My past will outlast me. Ask me if I agree with my choices now. I'd say no. I'd ask if that's me, cause I don't recognize myself anymore. No, sir. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna rebel, stepping up to the plate, give them hell, feeling great, show and tell, devastate. I've taken my fair share of beatings and I've retreated and bleeded, but my kids were dying for to give her something to believe in. You're gonna trip, you're gonna fall, you're gonna land face down in the dirt. But when you're done, you'll no longer crawl. You'll be invincible from the hurt.
Welcome back, everybody, to episode 9 of the Round Table Show. On today's episode, we'll be reviewing episode 1114 of The Typical Skeptic, where Rob had on Rich West, who went over some absolutely fascinating theories that myself and my panelists are going to give our own thoughts on, and where it took us thought-wise and the questions that it brought up for us. I'm actually being joined again this week by my co-host on the Mad Chatters show, DJ Maya from SOSQHT.
Yow.
And I'm really honored to have on for this week's panelist the person who was actually the subject of the very first Roundtable show is Touchdown Tommy Edwards.
Hello, how are we doing?
Yay.
Good. And I think I couldn't have found two more interesting people to have on this one, because Rich ended up on the subject of targeted individuals, which anybody that knows Tommy's history at all, he is absolutely been involved and interfered with by some three-letter agencies pretty much the majority of his life, and probably since birth. And before we went on the air, I was talking about some weird interference that was going on in my own life. And, you know, I'm not even popular. Like my dog gets more views than I do. And I've already got people approaching me about weird situations. But anyways, we won't get too far into that. It's absolutely a pleasure to have you on this week, Tommy. Do you want to give everybody a, say, 15-minute on your history before we get into Rob's episode?
Sure. I grew up in a small town in Virginia, and my grandmother worked for the government starting by the time she was 16. And when she retired, she had crypto clearance and had worked at the Radford Army ammunition plant for most of her career. And she worked directly for the commanding officer of it's a military base where they make nitroglycerin and you know, clothes and stuff. Well, I got brought into a program that the CIA was conducting. It was as an extension of MK Ultra, and as a black project, black sub project under Stargate program, where they were trying to study the potentials of the potential for extrasensory perception and to be utilized for national defense and to the intelligence agencies, remote viewing and such. And what they were doing was what they did is they used the techniques that they would use for monarch programming, mind control programming, through ritual abuse to split the personality and to amplify and increase the acuity of like what you remember. Like I had a ideographic memory when I was a kid, but it also, like, I guess, I mean, it also caused some other like things to happen, like dyslexia and some things to kick in. I think some of that was the emotional aspect of it, and just the abuse part of which I didn't have any recollection of until a few years ago, after another traumatic event kind of opened that gate for me. But I was born into a family where my dad was he was an NFL football player, and he set a bunch of records at where he went to college at Virginia Tech, where I ended up going to school after being an All-American tailback, running back, my senior in high school, and then got recruited by pretty much all over. But the Naval Academy was really aggressive in trying to get me to come to school there. And my dad had taken a visit to the West Point, and both of which were kind of at the direction and I guess suggestion of and facilitation of my grandmother's boss at her work as the general that was in charge of the. And she worked in an underground facility that was top secret, and which is now being occupied by a private company that owns the controlling share of BAE Systems that runs the ammunition plant, and they're using that underground facility as an HQ for clandestine operations, which is could really kind of lend some give some more insight into why there's so much targeting and so many people clustered in this one small area. It's kind of rural area, it's a small town, 16,000 people, and not far from Blacksburg, where Virginia Tech is. And this was a hotbed of MK Ultra sub projects during the 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. This with Virginia Tech being tightly, they have a strong relationship with the CIA. They do a lot of recruiting there. They recruit future officers and analysts, but also they recruit foreign assets that come as students. And like the head of clandestine services for the CIA right now is a 1983 Tech grad who started work with the CIA when she was a sophomore at Tech, and her dad was an officer there. But so between Virginia Tech and the Army ammunition plant and the deep underground facility there, and then a private mental institution, which was here in town, psychiatric institution, it opened itself up for a lot of different experimentation and behavioral modification, mind control kind of stuff. And I got zipped right into that shit when I was a kid, and here I am now. I just found, I finally in 2020, I had somebody break cover, and it meant to me that they were a handler and had been assigned to me by the CIA. And I had some indication that there was something going on for a long time. I just couldn't put my finger on it. I would just get I'd get the spidey senses up and have to just move, yeah. And just ditch get away from the people I was around, which was I was starting to feel like Truman, from the Truman Show. Yeah. And in 2004 that was came on really strong when I was living in Malibu. It was like I walked away from like a seven-figure deal, like $3.5 million. And I was homeless at the time, so it was wow. Kind of terrifying. And now, like, I didn't know what gang stalking was or targeting was until 2019. I started to get tapped into that when I was trying to research some of the weird shit that was going on in my life, and Morgellons disease, which is something that I've been dealing with since about that time, same time too. Anyway, I don't have a clock, so you guys got to keep me on.
That's fine. I wanted you to get that out.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and I was an All-American running back and led the nation in scoring for all divisions of college football when I was 19 for half a season, and then ended up having a nervous breakdown in college. Right about the same time, I started experiencing what is in alignment with what would be considered the alien abduction phenomena or experiencer phenomena. And also what I've recently learned is, the military industrial complex spoofing that to make the person think that that's what's going on. And like as an extension of that program as a kid, is rolled into a different program, which is it was like a super soldier program.
Yeah, it's they reference them as my labs in the community, military laboratory, whatever it is. And you had kind of touched on something that when you were saying about remote viewing, I've like self-taught my way through some astral travel. Like one of my appearances on The Typical Skeptic was after I learned the specific meditation and breathing technique, I was able to astral project myself into places, which essentially is the remote viewing. I know Rich West touched on that. Have you ever had any real world experience with being able to remote view or astral project? And what is your experience with that?
Yeah, I didn't know the concept of remote viewing until I met a gentleman when I was living in San Diego, who turned out to be the person that recognized that I had some psychic abilities as a kid. When I bumped into him here in my hometown, and he and a group from Stanford Research Institute were here searching for the body of a girl that had been murdered, and oddly enough, the murderer had been in the waiting room with my dad the night I was born, and he played football at Virginia Tech, and just crazy, yeah. And so just quantum entanglement. So then I wind up meeting this guy that knew me as a kid and was actually one of my programmers, and became like best friends and my mentor up until his death in 2016. But at which point things kind of went, got weird for me. I think I was being targeted then. I didn't know what it was and didn't recognize it as such. It just seemed like like disconnected, just like shitty luck, and just like, or just dealing with a bunch of rude people. But I as far as like astral travel, first time that happened, I was on my visit to Boise State after when I was transferring from Virginia Tech, and I had eaten some mushrooms with my hosts, and we were standing on this bridge that's called Friendship Bridge. Went over the Boise River in between the city park where the zoo was, where I ended up working my second semester at one of my classes, internship, and the university campus. And I was standing there with my hands on the railing, and all of a sudden I shot straight up out of my body, and I maybe 400 or 500 feet in the air, and I could see myself and my two hosts standing there, the entire campus, the entire city, it was like I could see 360 degrees at once. And like I could see all the foothills and out into Nampa and the suburbs and stuff. And then like there was a crows or something like right in my face, like big giant, like, and it called out, really loud, and then I was back in my body. And then it was like I had a download of information that like basically about like the multiverse and the interconnectedness of all things and the singularity as it goes into the Big Bang and expresses itself in different parts of the multiverse versus some parts collapsing while another one's expanding, and how that's an expression of subatomic structure of atoms.
Yeah.
And I was explaining this to my host, and they said that I did a backflip off of a retaining wall, and said, "Let's go." But just weirdness. And then after college, when I had moved back to Virginia, I had a lot of problems, like trying to get to sleep every night, just anxiety and tension, body tension, muscle tension, just from injuries and stuff. And I had learned meditation, like through like breathing meditations, through like a Thich Nhat Hanh book called Living Buddha, Living Christ. And that was my first introduction. And I was doing these visualizations of moving up from the root chakra up through the chakra chain as I went through my breathing. And when I reached the crown chakra, all of a sudden I had the sensation of forward movement. I could they were like stars, and then those turned into streamers, and then I was just in blackness, and just this it was the void, and like I thought in my head, where am I? and like immediately there was this resounding, like deep, bellowy voice that said, "The Akashic Record." And I just kind of hung out there for a while, and it was like it was weird because it was just darkness. I was completely comfortable and relaxed, and it was exciting and scary shit at the same time. Like just like the first thing was super kind of just wild and exciting, but also kind of like opening the door to like new perceptive realms. And then another time when I was in Manhattan, the first time I went to Manhattan, I laid down to take a nap, and same kind of thing, blackness, streamers, and then yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had similar experiences with my meditation practice that I have, but I wanted to ask Maya, with your hypnotic regression and therapy, that's fairly similar. Like astral projection is pretty close to the experience of hypnosis because you do feel like you're outside of yourself. And I think that's one of the main facets of astral projection is being outside of yourself, right? You're not quite somnambulistic, but you're still within yourself, but you're not, right?
Yeah.
I'm over explaining this, but I think the two are very similar.
Like bilocational.
When I hear people talk about their experiences, it makes me think like, yes, we this is proof we can access these abilities, but it's also proof that if you don't know what you're doing, it could be a scary place. It's like I'm just gonna go from crawling to flying. And it's like you have to learn certain things. You have to learn sacred protection. You cannot go into these realms without being protected. That is like number one, and think about how many people are trying and they're not really setting the intention to protect themselves. It's really dangerous out there. I feel like when I hear people talk about they want to do these out of body experiences, remote viewing, I'm just like, hey, just come to me. It's safer. It's like I would much rather do it through hypnosis than just trying to jump out there on your own with no training, no skills. No, when you encounter them dark energies and entities that people follow you, people are out there traveling and they're very aware of what they're doing out there. There's more advanced people that know how to, run through those ether streets and are like gang bangers out there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I don't, yeah.
And
I feel like it's safer through hypnosis,
Just one on that. Like when I was messing around with like finding all those things that I found before I was on Rob's show, there was a couple of times I effed around and found out because like I'd be go from a meditation to a nap and just come thundering back into my body like somebody whooped that ass back to reality. Like I would go a little too far in trying to discover something and get tossed back to here. Right, like I was able to put myself that close, and hypnosis is a very close similarity to any out of body experience that I personally have had. And like just a little personal side note, I microdosed before microdosing was cool. I ended up in my 20s getting my hands on like an ounce of mushrooms, and I ate them within 9 days, which works out to about 2.5 to 3 grams of mushrooms a day for 9 days. So I've been to other versions of this dimension and saw the creatures that don't exist within our perceptions and understand that there's absolutely all types of realities all around us. And that was another thing he touched on, was that like every frequency that we can't perceive is another reality.
Sure.
And just where you guys were on that, like
that
exactly.
Yeah. And sometimes those things that those creatures that are outside of our realm, our reality, or our dimension, like with like the Montauk Project, which was a predecessor of the offshoot of what I was involved in as a kid. Like we opened dimensional doors that created whole like doors for things to come through that they're still here. Like it's one of the things that happened in my when I was 22. On Memorial Day, and something that a wormhole opened up, and then there was this thing came through it, and it first looked like a car when we first walked up on it. That suddenly just kind of appeared inside this locked area, and when I stopped and sat down and started doing some meditative breathing, it rippled like water and turned into like a big, like the wheel sucked up into it, all the lines and like things that made it look like a car, the defining aspects of it, and it just looked like mercury, like fluid liquid mirror, just floating off the ground about 2 feet or so, and I think it had intelligence, and that's something that I just remember and was, aware of and awake for, and not like in a trance or like having been traumatized or in an alter personality or something, because
Yeah.
I think that there are other things out there as well, like that we don't necessarily see. I get weird shit on my security cameras all the time, and that's one of the things that we watched on Rob's deal, and like
Yeah.
and it's pretty frightening. I've experienced some of those things in my home as well, and while I'm awake, like it's like three entities were moving around that had I could see emotion, but there was nothing there. It was like the cloaking material that like the Predator on Predator had on, that camouflage that would reflect what was behind him.
Yeah.
But then the curvature of his body caused the light to bend in different ways. It made it look, yeah.
Yeah, I can actually totally understand that. I'm sure everybody's tired of hearing me talk about the fact that we have fairies or orbs or something. Uh, Spinge's son, that goes by the scream name Ray, uh, had a native man standing directly beside him while he was in the doorway the one night when we were talking just before bed. And he looks at me. He's like, "Dad, can you see that?" I'm like, "You mean the big native guy that I can see through?" "Yeah, I can." Right. And it was just because he needed some spiritual attunement, and it came into both of our realities because him and I are so closely connected and accept and believe things. And it kind of touches on him, Rick West saying, like, your belief creates your reality. He needed an ancestor, and both of us were able to perceive it.
Yes. I think, yeah, I definitely think that our beliefs affect our reality, and we're all quantum projectors.
Yeah.
Some of us just most of us are just do it in a de facto manner, and
Yeah.
and we just reinforce a lot of the illusion that's set forth for us.
Yeah. What were you going to say there, Maya?
Sorry.
It slipped.
No.
I had it and then it disappeared.
It's I love having guests like you guys on the show, because it's like, I gotta hear what he says. I gotta hear what she says. Because it's exactly what this show is supposed to be. It's like the ideas that are incited by Rob's show and the guests that he has. Because, like, absolutely, I think there is definitely something to, and I'm going to reference the other show that I'm on with Karen and Spinja. We just did a theory about, it's the nubby ball theory, like, where if you change your own perception of your life by like one nub or 1 degree, you're like, oh, why am I like this? Well, what's the opposite of this? Do I want to be the opposite of this? No, but I might want to be over here. Right. And it literally changes your belief, changes your reality. You can turn what you want into what you need just by simply adjusting where you are in the world. I didn't want to be a money hoarding person that was well paid for a job that made me miserable, but I was supposed to be happy because I was well off. I grew up poor. All of a sudden, I had all the money in the world and I hated it. Right. So I knew, like, I had brought that into my own reality. Like, I need money. That solves everything. And it made me sick. It made me physically sick. I hated it. I hated my job. I hated my life. I hated who I became. And I just walked off with zero job prospects, We won't even get into the fact that Maya likes to laugh about the fact that I freaked the fuck out that this dude's license plate actually said Draco, um, which was part of the reason. But no, like I left everything because I had to change my reality because of my belief. It was making me sick, and it really is just that way. Like, did I put our lives in some turmoil? Yeah, but it's coming. Right?
You know, a lot of people are really comfortable and they're really scared and they're really stuck in their ways. And I think it's almost like I heard somebody say, "Are you ready? Are you ready, ready, ready?" Because they're ready, ready, ready. Remember, it was like the whole country was protesting, and it was like, we're not ready. They weren't ready. They weren't ready. That's what happened. They missed the boat. They weren't ready, and now we have to wait again before another boat comes around again. But this time, there ain't no boat coming around again. You're going to have to learn how to swim or figure another way off the damn island because it is just getting too late. It's getting too much later in the game. And you have to decide, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay in the 3D? Are you going to have 1 foot in and 1 foot out? Now, I was told it's okay to go back to the 3D jobs if you feel the call, because there are people there that need to hear the message, and there are people there that are ready. There are going to be people there that are ready. So I just like to say, put me where I'm needed for as long as I'm needed, and then get me the hell out. Because you know, like I took a couple years off from work, and then I was like, you know, maybe I'm ready to go back to work. And as soon as I said that, within 24 hours, I had my job, my dream job again. And I was just cleaning. I was like, I want to work for my own. I want to do my own schedule. I want to do it, you know, be flexible and make a little paycheck on the side for tax purposes, like whatever. And I did. I went back to a little job and I worked, you know, it's very flexible. And since I've been there, I've had 1 client that I've helped, but that's because I was afraid to talk about my work. But now that I'm starting to talk about my work to the clients, I've got another lady and a guy who's like, you know, I might want to try that. And I'm like, yeah, you should. Why not? So it's like, you know, and then 2 of my coworkers could really use my help. And then especially my boss, like her mother had died right when I met her. And if I didn't start talking to her about this stuff, she probably wouldn't have handled that as well. But because I was always talking to her and I stayed in her ear from the minute her mom was getting ready to die till after, I stayed right there with her, texting her, messaging her, just keeping her strong. And she was like, Maya, your messages came through right on time. And I was like, thank goodness. Something told me to do it, you know, and I went with it. I just did it. And so, you know, we have to help those people that are there to be helped. But, and plus money is alive. So if you think you're going to be broke, they said you're going to be broke. But if you think you're going to have abundance, then what are you planning on doing with this money? And so my thing is, I just ask for abundance so I can help other people. I just want enough money to be able to help myself and help others as well and keep it flowing, you know? But I think it's your intention too. And the 5D, we're going in and out of the 5 dimension. The more you can change your perception and stop going to be from being the victim to being the victorious, you know, and just rising above all the bullshit. And you know, Tommy, when you were talking about people like being handlers and stuff, now I know most people have been like, I don't know, but one of the first things I came across in this journey, my awakening, was the handlers. Those were in the SSP. Those were the first ones. I think it was like before, I was like 2012, I was listening to like Corey Good, or before that, I don't even know who the heck they were, but I think it was them, Max Spears and them. And they were the first people that I encountered on the awakening journey with like, what's behind this door. And after seeing the confirmation and doing the session with you where you got confirmation to stay away from people, I was like, whoa, this is serious and this is deep. So people might think, oh, is this really true? Yes, it is really true. Like, people are being targeted, people are being used. And once you start claiming your sovereignty, they don't like it. But we have to, and we have to keep speaking out. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on a rant. But yeah, that's what I have to say.
Well,
I agree.
yeah.
It's
And that's something I wanted to get at too is they mentioned during the show, and I get it because like I was hesitant even to mention on my own show about the shit that's going on today because it was just weird and unusual. But like they talk about how targeted individuals are. I don't know if we're pre-programmed to do this to ourselves or if it actually does happen in society or if it's something that might happen and we are just programmed to have hesitation is being shamed about even saying that you're a targeted individual or you believe that somebody might be following you. I know I sent you the video of the black helicopter that was fucking with me. Well, guess what? Since I shot that video and said I see you, it hasn't been back, right? So call me crazy, call me weird, tell me they can't hear me from a helicopter. I tell you that black helicopter has been back since I said I can see you, and they fucked off the other way.
yeah.
So sorry, that's my own rant, but like, how have you dealt with being shamed about even saying the word targeted individual?
Well, it's definitely the system and the program is created in such a way that it's intentionally draws into the question the mental stability and mental health of the target, and that goes back to I mean the Stasi in East Germany. They utilize a lot of the same techniques, but now they have just they could hack everything and know where you're going and keep track of your biofield and just your electromagnetic like signature as you move around. You don't even need a a phone to follow you. So it's pretty crazy to like wrap your head around, and it's a little bit terrifying. But like a lot of times I've got like electromagnetic frequency like detector and that measures it like a tri-band. And initially, I started using an app on my phone, which would measure electromagnetic fields, which is it's accurate to a point, but you get near a magnet and it just jumps up too. But that gave me a sense of that was going on, and when that was happening, and I can also hear it a lot of times. I can hear like this high pitch that's happening from the microwave auditory and electromagnetic stuff. And I'll as I'm film like recording stuff, I'll say I'm collecting evidence. I'm filming this. I'm recording it right now, and then all of a sudden it'll drop. And so, but then like 5 minutes later, it's creeping back up again, and I say it again. Notice that the first time when I was in Nashville in 2021 when I ended up meeting one of my handlers actually just via social media actually, and
Yeah.
that's something that it's used a lot to interact with people, and it's like we were talking about earlier, is it's kind of someone get in touch with you out of the blue and suddenly has all this information for you and they're very interested in what's going on with you and you don't know who the hell they are, and they seem nice enough, but and
it's very weird because like I feel like because of the way I came online, like in my awareness, and again we'll talk about synchronicities. Maya had actually posted on her own SOSQHT page, like the week that I started to become aware of my SSP memories and what they actually were, she put a call out to the 144 on one of her social media pages, and it lined up to almost the exact same day. And everybody that's ever watched anything with her and I know the succession of events after that. And even the people that led up to that, like if Spinja hadn't have watched Karen Holton, to watch Chris Matthew, to watch Rob, to watch, like these things are not coincidental. They've all been created in this reality for a reason to get me to where I'm going. But now I also have to balance, and it's weird because I didn't think I was here like the interaction I have with outside influences trying to influence my decisions, my health practices, and who I actually talk to. And it's a very bizarre circumstance to come from like 6 months ago. I wouldn't even watch a podcast, right? Like September of last year, I couldn't give a shit about a podcast. And now I have people contacting me about mine. And I'm not complaining. I love talking to people, but sometimes there's boundaries that need to be set.
Exactly. And having like I got suggested to get in touch with Rob by somebody that I met actually on online, social media, and then all of a sudden there I did that show, and there were a lot of people that contacted me from that, and then I did 2 more shows with him, and I did another podcast called the Imagination Podcast, which deals with a lot of survivors of satanic ritual abuse and you know government sub projects and just awful shit. And
Yeah.
that's opened the door for a lot of things. I've actually received kind of veiled threats in the comments by some people, and said they were in the area. And like one guy said he said hello from Blacksburg, and he said that he was in this specific area, and asked us if we'd like to see the petrified trees that he found in Pulaski County, which is another adjacent county over. And somebody had just been at my house a few days before that with some rocks for me to look at. They wanted to know if I could identify some of the stuff, and I said one of them kind of looked like petrified wood, and which is odd. And then like the host of Imagination podcasts, her boyfriend um, was an operator, like a monarch programmed operator, and his handler lived in the same building that I moved into when my handler moved me to Nashville in 2011.
Wow.
And I would interact with that guy periodically, and he would always like ask make kind of invasive statements like about things out there going on in my life that he shouldn't really know about. And I was being stalked at that time by my fiance, who was my handler, with spyware and like different SIM cards and a burner phone, to the point where I quit performing live music. I mean, at gigs, because I'd have to advertise. People would know where I would be at a certain time. And I was carrying a 38 everywhere I went for about 3 years.
I don't doubt it. You had touched on entities and paranormal stuff going on in your own home and your yard, and I've seen some of your phenomenal video and pictures. Before that, you had also mentioned about opening things involved in the Montauk project. Do you think that those things are conducive to each other at all? Like, do you think it might be something that, because of the things that you were involved with in Montauk, that could have followed you into this stage of your 3-dimensional life? Or this
I think that I think that like that whole opening in the earth on Memorial Day in '96, like that was spontaneous, just from me singing a song that I had written like the year before, and the song, it was actually the product of, I had a bad concussion in the first game of the season at Boise State, and it caused Wernicke's aphasia, where it affects your ability to process language and understand what people are saying. Like turn the vibrations into language, into like a tangible, concepts and forms where you can communicate. And I was just hearing, still in the game. After that, I started waking up with poetry in my head, like ruminating. I'd have to write it down before it would like leave me alone, and I could like go back to sleep, or not just be great crazy guy repeating the same shit over and over. But and that turned into songs. That was the first song I had written, and so I think that with the Montauk project, they were using technology, like some recovery technology that was reverse engineered into like powering it, with this powerful radar station at Camp Hero, the Montauk, New York, and so I think as that developed, they made replicas of the chair, of the technology, and they have different spots around the country and other places in the world too, and mostly deep underground bases, the dumbs, and it's but then I think they also realized that the enhanced, like accelerated or amplified, like uh sensory perception, like extended, like sensory perception, it in the same way that satanic ritual abuse will, or just ritual abuse in general, will cause a child to develop like exponentially higher, like visual acuity, auditory acuity, smell, taste, everything, and like idiographic, like memory of it, and but yeah, they see more color variations than most people. Like I hear lower frequencies than human beings are able to typically hear, and higher at the low and high end of the scales. Like, and for most of the frequencies, I can hear under 0 decibels, like below 0 decibels, which is considered silence.
Yeah.
So in doing that as quantum projectors, all of a sudden, I think we some of us were able to manifest those portals and doors and openings, or wormholes or vortices, um, just spontaneously without any hardware.
Yeah. Do you think that that was a side effect or an attribute or an intentional side effect of your CTE? Like, do you think that?
But
No,
I think that
I just meant, like, do you think that because of the amount of trauma that your brain sustained, that it could have actually heightened these things that you're now capable of doing? Like,
Well,
yeah, I think, yeah.
what I can see, that's the thing, is when I first came across this, stumbled on this stuff, one of the first things that I heard, which I haven't heard since, actually I heard, I think Sarah Adams, I think that's her name, she might have mentioned it on Rob's interview, but what I heard is when they start taking you as babies, they take you off planet, and just like kind of like what you, I don't know if it's the same, no, I can't say it's the same as you, Don, but like for the babies, for the other people that do, like, Tommy, if they were taking you as kids, it'll go back to when you were babies. And so what happens is, I was told that they put you in cages. They start training you. They put you in cages with different animals. One could be a snake, one could be a lion, a wolf, different things. And each time you die, the lion, it eats you and you die and you come back. And then you gain a little bit more information, and they keep you off planet, and they keep doing it and they put you in like matches to battle with other kids. And somebody was saying that in their experience, and I heard it from a couple people at the beginning. I don't know if I can't find these videos nowadays, but they were saying that, I don't know if you know anything about this, Tommy, and I don't know if you've heard this, but eventually the kid morphs into that animal and becomes that animal and takes on. So it kind of gets trained basically by this, whatever it is, that their abilities, and maybe it'll be quicker or faster, or it'll gain these special abilities. And I'm wondering if this is part of it, what you were saying, how you're able to do this and you're able to do that. It's probably because they don't remember, they've been training since babies. You would probably have to ask and say, you'd have to get deeper into it. But Tommy, you still have to finish your session. You could always go find out a little bit further. But I know
I'm
yours
down.
was.
I'm down. We'll do that. I know that, like, when I had the brain injury in college, my brain rewired itself in between that play, and I knocked out the defensive back. So they had to take the time to get him off the field, to get him on a gurney and get him off the field, and then it was also the end of the into the quarter, so we had to switch ends of the field where the ball set up. So it gave it a little extra time, and like during that period of time, I started to jog off the wrong side of the field. Somebody grabbed me and pulled me back in to the huddle, and it wasn't until we had broken the huddle and were headed to the line of scrimmage to start the play that I grabbed the fullback and asked him like, bro, like it just what's the play? What do I do? And he said, same play. I said, I don't remember. And he said, follow me, you get the ball. But it was all distorted. So my brain rewired itself from, a pretty like significant injury, like within minutes.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
And then it fixed something in my brain as far as like being able to communicate in writing, that had always been a deficit from childhood with my dyslexia, and my ability to write and communicate in written form. I was able to give like verbal answers for like any type of like long form written like questions that or like yeah. So I think that that was a process. That was a product of an accelerated like just like function within my ability. Like, I mean, they found out when I was a kid I had like monster crazy IQ that was like they said it would probably be more of a disability than any type of advantage, and I think all that could have been associated with what you were saying. And like the handler I was talking about that I met in Nashville that was a music producer, and he goes by the handle Frankenstein, which is odd because I'd just done like 25 Frankenstein paintings in the 2 years prior. His dad worked for the Pentagon, and during the 80s he was in charge of UFOs and extraterrestrial interactions. And his son was my handler. He told me that it was something that I had from birth and it's from before birth, like in utero. So I don't have any memory of that other than like some kind of like disconnected weird dreams from early childhood. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense to me, because if you think about what the rest of us are doing here, like you have to go into deep meditation or take mushrooms or ayahuasca because you have to get in an altered state of mind to be able to perceive certain things, because we are not functionally capable as humans. But when we go into altered state, we can all of a sudden we accept these things. And that's what I was wondering with your CTE, if because of the impact on your brain and the rewiring that your neural pathways have done for themselves, if you are already in tune with an altered state that allows you to be able to perceive these things like this.
Yeah, I think maybe I think like once you become a psychonaut and you have some experiences that are outside of explanation, like then you've already got one foot in the door all the time, and eventually get to the point where you don't have to poison yourself anymore to tap into those resources and those teachers. Like anytime I had psychedelic experience, it wasn't like I hallucinated things. Every now and then I'd get trails or something, but it was the feeling and the knowing, and then these just odd downloads of information from of data sets that I had no access to prior.
Yeah.
And just like the synchronicity of how things would line up and running into people or like in and up somewhere where this thing happened with and this other person showed up, and it's impossible to like to rationalize and to like to write into I mean, you can write a narrative and it sounds like like was it Pulp Fiction or something, like it just sounds like this weird like jumping back and forth and in the timeline to try to explain like the synchronicity and interconnectedness of all the situational like references and relevance to why that it's such a profound experience and a personal experience. Like I've always said, it's like the closest thing to communion with God possible. or with actual, knowing that you're part of this thing that's you're connected to everything all the time. We're all connected in such a way that after that experience, it's hard to be an isolationist in
Yeah.
any form. Yeah.
Yeah, like even when I was younger, I was always a very social person. And then like I hit like my 20s and 30s and kind of withdrew. But there's a part of me that has this innate need to talk to people and explain what I think is going on in the universe. And hey, what do you think? And I need to exchange an idea with you. So I have that need for the information constantly, but I just couldn't be that close to people anymore. And I think what I've discovered to do for myself with the interviews with Maya and this show and, whatever other podcasts I appear on, it actually allows me that interaction with the intelligent people that I need, right? And kind of filters out the rest of society. And I'm not saying I'm going AI or nor should anybody, but there are alternatives because like I pretty much got agoraphobic at one point because I just couldn't people anymore, right?
Same.
I feel like when we are on these platforms, it is our duty to hold space, right? And if we go onto someone's podcast or whatever to be interviewed, we're expecting them to hold that space, And so, like, it could be a little tricky, it could be a little tricky, but if you, I don't know, I guess for me, I set my intentions like I'm not trying to debate with anybody.
Sure.
Um, I just want to be able to share my story, my experiences, and I just want it to be able to hold space for other people to share their experiences, because that is the problem, is that people do not feel safe to speak their truth. They can't even speak it in their families, in their homes, with their loved ones, the people that you expect to be your supporters, they're not supporting you in that way because they're on a different mission. And you're not here to save everybody. You can't save everyone. You can't save all your family members. I got 5 kids, and I'm pretty sure out of all 5 of my kids, I don't know, there might be a few. I don't know if a few are saved or not to be saved. I can't tell right now. It's hard to tell, but my spirit guides told me that to focus on the ones that you can deal with and don't worry about the ones you can't. I'm like, oh my God, the stuff that they tell me sometimes is like, but yeah, I just feel like, it's time for us to hit that next stage. We've gone through the shadow side, which is the service to self. We've gone through and are ready to give service to others. And now we have finally came to the 3rd phase, which is service to truth, which is holding the platforms and speaking these stories. Because people, what bothers me? This is what bothers me. They're going to come for me when I say this. This is what bothers me. When people are like, yeah, I'm just not ready to share my experiences, people in my family and my work and my friends, do you think they give 2 shits about you when they're deciding their life? They don't think about, what will that person think? Hell no, people don't think it like that. They just do what they do. It's people that want to please everybody. Stop pleasing everybody. You're not here to please everybody. Speak your truth so you can start helping people, because that's the only way you're going to help people, by sharing your experiences, what you've overcome, and how they can possibly resonate with it or pick something they can keep it going. That's what Archangel Michael says. He says, share your story. It's time. It is time to stop being afraid and scared. And the throat chakra needs to be freed. There, I said it.
It's fear of judgment, and backlash, and and being judged and seen as crazy. When I had these experiences, when I first started having things happening in college, I was excited and wanted to share it with people. And I just got, people to this day, Tommy's crazy.
Yeah.
He just talks about aliens a lot.
Yeah. Oh, the exact same. Like I came into this and it's like, okay, who can I tell? And like I've told certain people in my family, like, what's gone on psychologically, what I've come to in my own awareness, what I've come into in my own reality, and how I've changed my own life. But there's only certain ways you can explain it to certain people because they will not understand. Like, God bless my mom, or spirit bless my mom, whatever affirmation you want to use. When I tried to explain what was going on with me having the memories and consciousness about my SSP experiences, she's like, "You mean like Sylvia Brown?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, that works. That's what I'm doing." And at that point I hadn't even gotten beyond my own SSP experiences, because I know there's a lot of people like me, like you, that are like, oh my God, I was in the SSP, this is all I am now. And I almost did, right? But then I was like, wait a minute, if that's real, then so's that fucking dragon. And so's that. I all of a sudden went from being super focused on one part of my paranormal life to I need to see all of it, and I need to talk to all of the people that know about it.
Yeah.
Right. It's looking at everything from every different dimension, like every single possibility. Like, hey, what will it be like if I talk to Tommy today? Let's find out. I'm going to message Tommy and say, hey, bud, do you want to come and talk to me on this show about that? I'm going to talk about this exact concept. And that's what we're doing. We created our own existence simply by an idea.
Mm-hmm. Which is what, and these things have been, these podcasts and the community that it's opened up to me has been, it's been extremely validating in a way that allows to not constantly have to like question my own sanity and check and to give like some validity to the things, to the memories that I have, and what I know to have happened, after the majority of the people that you share these things with, they're they're just not receptive. Their radio doesn't tune to that station. So it's that's a these have been a blessing. To be able to find a support network of people who have had similar experiences and that are open-minded to things that they haven't experienced, but are aware that the world isn't concrete and reality isn't this set. It's not a movie set. It's not this fake thing. It's dynamic. Yeah. And what we, just because what we see is limited to what we see and hear and feel in our dimension here, that's our four dimensions in a visceral way. But just like x-rays and other forms of light that are there, and like the aura, we can photograph the aura with Kurgan photography, but it's hard for people to understand the concept unless they can see it themselves. It's I don't know. It's so all this bandwidth is there constantly here all the time from all of time and all of creation, and then we're just seeing this little sliver because that's the station that we're tuned into, and we can't handle any more than that at any given time. And every now and then we catch a little piece of this station over here that we don't normally get.
No, I 100% agree with you, and that's like what they were touching on with the frequency and reality. And absolutely, like they ended up on the whole targeted individual topic again at the very end. And what I wanted to get was like, this dude was pretty straightforward in his belief that like the large majority of psychic attacks are gray aliens, right?
Sure.
And what was your take on that? Because I know that you have experience with my lab, you have experience with other dimensional thing, Montauk. I just really wanted to know what your take was. Like, it just sounded to me like he was predominantly blaming just the tall grays, And I know with you having the personal experience you do with psychic attacks and physical attacks and radio, the things you've sent me over the phone are just insane. And I don't mean you are insane. I mean what I heard was.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go on.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of different tropes that get presented to different people that are experiencing these things, or that have awareness of, or somehow, either test subjects or or genetic, like mutational whatever it is, like as we're being digitized, as we're moving towards the singularity, from an analog like organism into this thing that's being like set up as a simulation too, through like supercomputers and AI. There's this the way that they communicate these things to different people are tap into their pre-existing like cultural lenses. So like if I know that like Project Bluebeam thing, they're talking about, trying to utilize the extraterrestrial slash like a spiritual new age kind of um like
hologram.
Yeah, like what to like get people to come together like like the return, the resurrection of Christ, or the return of Christ, or that kind of concept, but through the lens of aliens.
Yeah,
somebody.
Tommy,
Okay.
they told
Sorry.
me that it's old news that they've been using Project Bluebeam, that the whole 9/11 was Project Bluebeam, that it wasn't what we thought it was. And I knew it because I was like, I didn't see a plane. There was no plane. When it would have hit the building, when you look inside, it's empty and there's boxes in there that aren't burned and there's people standing there, but there's a hole. And so I'm like, where'd the plane go? I'm looking for luggage. I'm looking for people. Nothing. There was nothing. And then they said it was a drone disguised to look like an airplane. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to have these drones disguised to look like UFOs. And they're going to be shooting those real laser beams down at us like they did on Maui. They've been practicing. They've been testing it out. And if you look online, I saw something recently that said they had just now started a series. I think they said it was going to be a year long, or 2 years. I forget how long. They said a series of testing and it's global, and it's in case of something. It's some bullshit, yo. And that's why all these things are, these blackouts and the phones going down and all these little random things is all part of them testing whatever it is that they plan to test at the
shock
end.
testing. Yeah. It's like they did like
they're experimenting on us. People are crazy out here.
Yeah, the oil embargo in the 70s was the oil embargo of the 70s was a shock test. It was intentional to see how the populace would respond, and it's kind of like COVID. I mean, it was multifold. That way they could eliminate a sector of the population that had comorbidities that were a burden on the system, a burden on the healthcare system, and burden on the social, like the safety net, and I mean, yeah, a close friend of mine had drinks with somebody who works at one of these non-government agency private armies that spend a lot of time in Afghanistan and Iraq, conducting and doing things that the military would normally do. And they're using the underground base where I was programmed for HQ for the thing that happened in Maui. Yeah. And the lasers in Northern California that caused the trees to explode, and other things like some extreme weather, and it's been planned for a long time, and that's it. Good.
Yeah, I can actually even relate to that. Like, everybody can do the math. My production thing is called March 4th Productions, because I was born 46 years ago, March 4th. When I was like 10 years old, there was me, probably about 6 kids and 4 adults that saw the Phoenix Lights years before it ever happened, because we were directly across from the Meaford military base in Ontario, Canada. We
Wow.
watched that shit up. People actually called the next day because like half of our whole town, which is Kemble, saw the Phoenix Lights, the whole shit. And people were phoning up. They're like, yo, what was that? And they're like, oh, those were flares. Bullshit. I've never seen a flare just all of a sudden turn on in the air and then sit there for like 25 minutes, change shapes, change trajectories, do things, practice the movements, and then just turn back off. Like shit, that was a flare. That was like the Phoenix Lights when I was 10. So that's 36 years ago.
Well,
like
yeah,
all of this shit has been practiced.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's
yeah.
it's strange. And when you have mass sightings like that, it's something that's hard to dispute. You know, like
Well, yeah, but that was back in the 80s and nobody had a cell phone and you weren't going to go get the shoulder mounted video camera because it might be gone by then. But no, like there was an entire town that saw this because we were directly across from the tank range on a clear day.
yeah, and you're in awe.
And the reasoning they gave us the next day when people started phoning the militaries was just nonsense. Right.
Yeah.
Have you had much experience going back to V2K and military experiments and stuff with voices or imaging that you know are not yours? Because we'll go back. I was in Kemble, big surprise, when I was about 14. And I've told this story before. I was on the school bus while my mom was driving. And all of a sudden I just heard this voice. You should kill yourself. You should kill yourself. You should get off this bus and you should kill yourself. And I went home and I put a 22, loaded it with a hollow point in my mouth. And I was just about to reach for the button. And the neighbor girl came to borrow a video game. And I went, what the is going on? Because this voice just took control of my head for a minute and clicked me into this program that I should kill myself. And I damn near did. I don't know if you have any experience with that or if Maya's ran across it in a session, like where there's been actual I talked to Penny Bradley about this on the Mad Chatter show, and when I told her that I was right near one of the region's largest broadcasting towers, she's like, well, there's your answer.
Well, because I tried to take myself out at 11, and I blamed it on my family, but really it was the voices in my head that were saying, you should just die. You should just die. They're not going to care about you anyways. They don't care if you leave. What are they going to do? Cry for a few minutes? They'll be fine. Look at everybody else. People die and they're still fine. Like I was really saying to myself, like even now, I'm like, even now I'll be like, yeah, I got all these kids, but would they really miss me? Like, like, I start to get that voice and I'm like, shut up. Like, I don't care what you think right now. I'm like, I'm not here to feed you. But that when my hypnosis session, they said that the star seeds get targeted that way because they know if we leave, we have to come back and we can't leave right now. This is it. There is no coming back. If you come back, you're going to come back at a different time point. This is the time choice. This is the choice point where we have to make a decision to save as many that are meant to be saved. And so a lot of people will take themselves out. A lot of the Montauk or MK Ultra, the ones that get mind controlled, they're going to have them. Yeah, they want to because they're only using you for so long and then that's it. So if they can use you and recycle you, they'll do it. So yeah, you can't listen to those voices. Those are the bad voices that are trying to make you abort your mission.
When I had a breakdown in college, I started suffering from suicidal ideation. And it seems similar to what both you're describing. Like it was there was definitely a like a inner just like a movie in my head replaying over and over again of myself unaliving myself, and like and it was so disturbing that I mean I found myself in my closet doing the same thing, except it was with a 12 gauge, and I was I'd come home from, and this happened like pretty regularly for maybe like a week and a half after I started really had like just it just got I just shut down and stepped off the merry-go-round. I ended up sitting and watching the movie Apocalypse Now over and over again for like a week on loop. And it's weird, when I met my mentor that had been my programmer as a kid, again as an adult, the way he described his what he did in Vietnam was, he said, "Have you ever seen Apocalypse Now?" And and I'm like, about 40 times. And his job was to eliminate rogue friendlies, and they were his part of Phoenix too, where they were going into Laos and Cambodia and conducting some illegal, like, clandestine assassinations and stuff. And he got wounded, and while he was wounded, and Walter Reed's, he got this idea to move to ask the DoD if they would fund him to study the human potential movement and the psychic abilities and how that could be leveraged for national security. Yeah, but yeah, and actually, in 2020, when I first came back, like, Daryl, before he died, he told me that I would meet a woman after he died that would take his place as my oh, like, protector, and like guide. And he died in 2016, and then I get a phone call from somebody that I met through this music competition that I put on through the nonprofit organization, as called Music for Mental Health Awareness. It was called Cream of the Crop. At Daryl's request for me to do this, and he and I had met in California when I was an adult. When I was on the phone, like, making phone calls, like, trying to get sponsors for the original first Cream of the Crop, like, competition that I put together just as through my productions company in San Diego. And so that person contacts me. She's in crisis, and she can't find her dog. Something happened. She got pulled over, and the dog got out of the car and ran away. But she said, "But it'll be okay because my cousin's here, and she's a seer." And as soon as she said that, I saw a picture of the woman's face in my mind's eye. And I asked her, "Is this what this person looks like?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Does she happen to have, like, a collection of Kachina dolls?" Because that's one of the things that Daryl said that would be that would be the telltale sign of this is the person. And she's like, "Yeah, she's got like a creepy amount of Kachina dolls, these little, Zuni little figurines, they're like the spirit guides from the tribe. They're I always thought they looked like Native American, like, action figures when I was a kid. But and then as soon as we got off the phone, her cousin asked, "Does he have Parkinson's?" And I have Parkinsonism from a brain injury from a vaccine in 2018, which is the symptoms of Parkinson's that kind of like they I've overcome most of that at this point, but like um, just weird. And then, like, the first conversation I had with her on the phone, um, she was like, "Daryl's here. He wants to talk to you," and he'd been dead for 4 years, 4.5 years, and then all of a sudden, I'm I don't remember if I was talking or if it was just like in my head, though. I was hearing him talk, and then I was asking him questions, and it was like a real time conversation for a good 20 minutes. So I don't know if that was like an AI generated voice, or if that was an actual spirit thing that happened. But the person that facilitated this, um, she was also in the same program, and like, I'm sub project number 42. She's sub project number 43, and then the Frankenstein guy that I met, he's number 44 in the program. Just kind of talking about how all these things kind of independently, it makes me, going back to the whole Truman Show trope. It just seems like it's too far fetched and too many things, just falling together. You know.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to even think that we live in the existences we do, because like when you start to realize how controlled your reality actually is, you're like, can this really be real? And then you're like, wait a minute, everything I can make can come into existence just by thinking about it and putting my intention to it. But then on the bad side of the game board, you have people that will like, well, they touched on the beaming of negative thought waves into our atmosphere, right? Like I know you've picked up frequencies on your phone and have had direct interaction with, high tech V2K styled weapons. And this shit's being used against us so we don't unlock ourselves. And it's just bizarre. Like, because as soon as you get that reality into your head that, like, wait a minute, I can change anything, you start to. Right. And then you get a handler thrown in your way, or your hot water tank blows up for a week and you don't have hot water. And like just ridiculous circumstantial coincidences that are actually just getting out of the way for the event that you're creating.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
It's a phenomenal concept that we do actually create our reality. Like, just as much as Maya can put me into regression and take me to any past part or future part of my consciousness because I'm in tune with my higher self, I can also do that in this reality if I just simply change a few things. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be a negative Nancy.
I knew you were gonna say that. God, I knew you were gonna say that. No, I heard my right before you said it. I heard it in my head.
Donnie?
Yeah. Don't be a downer, Donnie. Right? No,
Yeah.
not a. Yeah, a lot of people that have been through the most stuff, I feel like they seem to be the most happiest people. You would not know that they've been through so much. They don't like wear it, they overcome it. It's hard. It's hard on this journey, but I've met quite a few people that have been through some dark stuff, and I'm like, wow, I'm really impressed, because if I was in your shoes, I don't know if I came out the same way. So yeah, it's crazy how many people have different journeys and what they choose to experience.
Spin and I were just talking to that, I think, with Karen. Like, it's crazy because, like, when we sit there in retrospect, like, when you actually sit down and listen to mine and Spin's life stories and then how we ended up together and even the bullshit we've been through together in 5 years, people are like, what? No, you can't have lived through 30 years of absolute bullshit. Like, no, like I was out on my own at 15. She was active at 15. Is like just the craziest set of circumstances that shouldn't happen to anything you ever perceive as a normal life. And you almost think it's fictitious because when you tell people that consider their lives normal, the shit that you've been through over the last 30 years, they're like, no. And I'm like, yeah. Like, it's imperceivable to some people that we are targeted individuals. The CIA did run a program that Tommy was involved in. I did see light beings when I was 5 years old. My consciousness was borrowed from me for 15 fucking years, and I can go back there in the matter of a dream state. Like, all of these existences are real.
Absolutely. It's like a bunch of individual holograms that make up a collective hologram of or the matrix or the fabric, or the veil, which is through shared beliefs, the consensus reality.
Exactly.
It's
good.
No, I'm good.
He kind of touched on that too, like where like your belief is your reality again. And he's like, I see your couch is like beige and you see the red lamp, but maybe I don't see the horse the same color as you do, but that's a silver horse to me, but to me it's a brown horse, right? Like just the slight overlaps in the quantum entanglement of our realities, because we are actually creating everything that is going on. Right? Just like Go ahead, Maya.
No, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
Just like where you can take me to different times during a regression and show me specific snippets of my life, and that's where I get the information that I come out of regression with. It's almost like that. It's anything you can think you can do. Like it's insane that it's really just that easy. It's a matter of questioning your reality and how you want to change it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, me and my mom used to have a really bad relationship, and then one day I was like, you know, if I just started to think like this, what would happen? And I did it for 3 days. And after the third day, I kind of got used to it and I forgot and I just kept it going. And then I noticed like within that month, change. Like it actually worked. And since then, it has kept working. It's almost like because my experiences are connected to my mom's experiences and things like that, right? Because we're family, we're connected, and we're here to heal and stuff. So I had to change my perception, finally reach that unconditional love level, forgive, forget, really forgive, and just start trying to create what I wanted. I wanted a loving relationship with her. And it's kind of funny because even now, like, I'm still a pain in the ass. Like, even though she'll message me and call me, I'm like, I wait to message her. I used to message her right away, but ever since I did that change, something else happened, and now it's like, okay, what do I got to fix now? Because now it's almost like I got what I wanted, but now I'm a little reluctant still. I'm like, why am I reluctant? You know, it's so weird, you know, it's so funny. It's like your mom's called you 3 times today. Are you planning on calling her back? And I'm like, maybe tomorrow. But before, if she would call me and I saw a missed call, I'd call her right back. So mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I'm gonna work on it. If she watches this. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like I had to really change my perception and start making something that I thought was one way. And wow, like we started hanging out. Like I felt the love back from her. It was weird. I was like, that's all I had to do was just really change my perception. It works that way. So
And I think that's just about a perfect spot to leave that is, you know, with the end statement, question your reality if you want to change it, because we all have the ability to. It's literally just, it's turning your needs into your wants or your wants into your needs and just getting what you need because you want it. And we can all do it just by questioning everything that's going on in our own existence. From there, I know I'm going to have an ad right after everybody says goodbye. For Tommy, we're going to have Tommy's music video up next. Which one did you want me to air, Tommy?
What were you told?
Oh, I think I sent you Peace and Pain. It's just a still picture for video, but like, I don't know. That was the last thing I really produced in any professional capacity. But there's
okay.
If there's something else that fits the mood better, just I'm good with whatever. I've got the album and that one and some some just weird live stuff that I recorded. So it's
we actually, with the first one that I ever aired of yours, I went back through and read the comments, and it was absolutely awesome because you got such a pop from everybody watching the premiere about your kazoo. When the kazoo came into play, nobody saw that come. That was just so dope, man.
Yeah.
So
Masquerade, yeah. Which Masquerade, that's a good theme.
Yeah.
It's got reality.
Yeah, and from there, Maya, where can everybody reach you?
well, if they don't know by now, they can reach me at sosqht.com. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
And I will put all of Tommy's links in the description and mine as well. And please stay tuned for some music right after this and some ads from Typical Skeptic. I might even throw one in there for Karen Holton because she is an awesome lady with some awesome Orgonite products that you guys should all check out. On that note, I will say thank you and see you next week. And thank you guys for joining me.
Bye.
Ciao.
My past will outlast me. Ask me if I agree with my choices now. I'd say no.
I could use a little peace, cause I live a lot of pain. I keep throwing away the good stuff, flushing it down the drain. I could use a little hope, and this is a world of heartache. I keep spending all my money on dope, all giving and no take, and I'm falling in love, fading away. Every time I have a new idea, shadows wanna play, and I'm falling in love. We're living a dream. Every time I find a little peace, the demons kick and scream, and I'm falling in love with the way that things are. Picking on a new song with an old guitar. I could use a little love. There's a world of hate. Spend the whole day getting ready just to show up late. I could use a little calm after the storm. I need to wash up on some lonesome beach, somewhere nice and warm, and I'm falling in love with fading away. Every time I have a new idea, shadows wanna play, and I'm falling in love. Living a dream. Every time I find a little peace, the demons kick and scream, and I'm falling in love with the way that things are. Picking on a new song with an old guitar. I could use a little peace, cause I live a lot of pain. Saving up all the good stuff, living myself to stain. I could use a little life, and there's a world of headstones. Tattoo scars and broken bones, I was alone on the telephone, and I'm falling in love with fading away. Every time I have a new idea, shadows wanna play, and I'm falling in love with living a dream. Every time I find a little peace, the demons kick and scream, and I'm falling in love with the way that things are. Picking on a new song with an old guitar. I'm picking on a new song with an old guitar. Picking on a new song with an old guitar.
YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today.
My past will outlast me. Ask me if I agree with my choices now. I'd say